Hello guys, welcome back. I hope you're all doing great. So today I want to talk about some recent additions to my perfume fragrance collection. I have here a bunch of fragrances. Some I've added very recently, others maybe 6 months ago. So I think all of these are fragrances that I've added to my collection within the last 6 months. I have a nice little bunch here on the table, and I'll just quickly go through them, talk about what they smell like, whether they're working out. Some of them were blind buys. Some of them, a lot of them, I have tested before making the purchase. I try to do that. Sometimes it's just not easy, or sometimes I just end up blind buying and selling fragrances that I end up not liking, and sometimes they work out and I end up keeping them and I love them. So let's start with the house of Celine, and this is Nightclubbing by Celine. So I went through many samples. I had part 1 and part 2 of the Celine sample set, and I spoke to you guys about all of the fragrances and my take on the fragrances. Of course, I revisited Parade, which is a beautiful neroli fragrance, and I revisited La Pannu, which is an irisy, rosy fragrance. I am considering a full bottle of that one. Nightclubbing is fabulous. So Nightclubbing is this oracey vanillic fragrance that has this really interesting contrasting smoky note that a lot of people refer to as like a cigarette note in the fragrance. That smoky note that comes off like a cigarette, but it's not a dirty ashtray. It really does a great job of contrasting that sort of orris butter that a lot of the Celine fragrances share. That it's like a thread among the Celine fragrances. They're very soft. A lot of them have that smooth, powdery orris butter. I happen to love that sort of scent profile, the Celine fragrances. Some of them, like this one, are a little bit fleeting on my skin. I'm not sure if I go nose blind to this one, but it is short-lived on my skin. After 3 hours, I can barely detect it, but I think Nightclubbing is such a great fragrance. I really love how it smells. I like that smoky sort of cigarette. There is no cigarette note in here, but I do like how that musky vanillic orris butter sort of opening is met with this smoky cigarette-like aspect to the fragrance. So it kind of dirties that up just a little, but it's always in the realm of the refined Celine sort of powdery fragrance. I really like it. It's a very interesting one. I wish it lasted on my skin longer. Let me know if you guys have the same experience, for those of you who own this fragrance. So that's Nightclubbing. This is the 100 ml size bottle. So the next one is from the house of Mendittorosa, and this is Sogno Reale, which means realistic dream. And I spoke about this one together with Rituale and Orlo in a fragrance sampling video. And then I also mentioned that I purchased a bottle of Rituale. I love it. It's in my collection. That one has a beeswax, interesting, sort of slightly animalic beeswax note. The fragrances are really interesting. This one, Sogno Reale, is an amber fragrance, but not amber like Ambre Sultan, not amber like some of the ambers that you might think of, like MFK's Grand Soir, like not that type of amber. It's an amber that's contrasted with many notes in the fragrance, but in particular, a marine note. There's styrax, there's hyraceum, there's a texture to this fragrance, and it's ambery, but with a freshness, with a fresh twist to it. Like I said, there's a marine note, and I think it kind of contrasts the other notes in the fragrance for a fabulous textured amber. It's not like any other amber that I own. And I really love these bottles. They're so artistic. Talk about the fragrance being artistic in and of itself. The packaging of these Mendittorosa fragrances are really intricate. This is supposed to be a sea urchin because there is the marine note in here. So It reminds me of what Les Indemodables does with the fragrance, with some of the fragrances, where you have the ambergris and you have that sort of like salty ambergris aspect in the fragrance, contrasting the other notes. It reminds me of what Mendittorosa did with this one, Sogno Reale. So it's an interesting amber. I like this one. So that's Sogno Reale. So the next one is from the house of Les Indemodables, probably one of my top 2, 3 favorite perfume houses. I own quite a few. I still want to add others to my collection. I'm glad I waited for the Vanille Havane 100 ml size bottle to be released. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and now I can get a large size because they recently produced the Vanille Havane in the 100 ml. This one is Cuir de Chine. And it's a leathery fragrance. There's osmanthus in here, and I would say that it's a fresh take on leather. It's not super apricot-y, fruity. Osmanthus can sort of give that apricot scent profile and fragrance. I would not say, even though the osmanthus is prominent in here, I would not say that it smells fruity or apricot-y. It is leathery, but it's a fresh leathery, and there's something a little bit aromatic as well. I really enjoy this one, actually. It has something a little bit citrusy to my nose as well. I'm not sure if that's something that goes along with the osmanthus, but there's something a little bit citrusy, aromatic. It's textured, like a lot of the Les Indemodables fragrances. They have a texture to them, and they keep it simple. It seems simple, but they're high quality, and I really enjoy this type of perfumery. And this one, actually, I thought they were all Antoine Lie creations. I don't remember the perfumer, but this is not an Antoine Lie creation. So I love Antoine Lie fragrances. I love what he does, but this is not one of them. But this is Cuir de Chine, and I added this to my collection a few months ago. So the next one is from the house of Hermes, and I was able to get my hands on a vintage Hiris, which is the blue bottle. Now they come in the clear bottle. And the packaging has changed many times. I think the blue bottle went into a clear bottle that had a certain color cap. I think the silver cap. Then it went to a clear bottle with the black cap, which is what I had, the most recent, which I sold because I got my hands on a vintage version, 100 ml. It's a great sort of reference iris. It's not long lasting. It's close to the skin, like a lot of the Hermes fragrances. It's a cold one. It's a cold iris. There's something waxy about it. And it's a great one for those of you that are familiar with this. I'm really glad that I found this blue bottle. It's a little more maybe full-bodied than the current versions. I should say maybe it feels a little more layered than the current version, which is maybe a little bit more flat to my nose. You guys can let me know if you have gotten your nose on this one in comparison to the current version, but I am glad to have this in my collection. I'm a huge iris fragrance lover, so that's Hiris. So the next one is Dante Bra from the house of Frederic Malle. I recently spoke about this, and then without even searching for it, I found a pre-Estee Lauder bottle, which is denoted by the fact that it has the percentage volume on the back. And Dante Bra is a Maurice Roussel creation. To me, this is clean and powdery. At the same time, it's violety, and you have that creamy sandalwood that comes into play in the base. In the end, I get a clean, powdery fragrance. Someone complimented me and said that it was reminding them of like a clean baby. Maybe the powdery aspect of the fragrance. I absolutely love this. I thought someone said that it leans a little masculine. Not to my nose. I like this sort of scent profile. Maurice Roussel is the nose behind the Helmut Lang fragrance, which people compare to this. It's not redundant. I own that one. It's the Helmut Lang Eau de Cologne, a discontinued fragrance. And I really like Dante Bra. So I found a vintage version, what I'm calling a vintage version, by mistake at a fantastic price. It was less than what I would pay for a current version. So I may do a comparison. I'm not sure what the differences would be, if there are any. I'm not sure, but I do like it. And this does smell like the sample that I tried and spoke about in one of my recent videos, where I considered this one a discovery. So the next one is from the house of Amouage, and it's a little decant. And I might as well talk about the other decant that I got. Amouage's Guidance 46 and Amouage's discontinued Beloved Woman. So Beloved Woman was recommended to me when I did the ranking of my Amouage collection, and I was able to get a decant, and I was able to wear it, and it is a beautiful Chypre fragrance. It is very vintage-like. It's a throwback to the Chypre fragrances in the world of Guerlain's Mitsuko, but this one is floral and maybe more feminine, and it's gorgeous. It's a discontinued fragrance. I don't know if nowadays a scent profile like this is as mass appealing, as desirable. I personally think it's beautiful. So I did get myself a decant of Beloved Woman, looking forward to enjoying this one. And after selling Guidance, which I mentioned in that video, and I did mention Guidance 46, I don't want to go for a full bottle, even though the Amouage fragrances show up at discounters. It's not a bad price at the discounters, but it's nonetheless over $300. And I have a love-hate relationship with the scent profile of Guidance. I don't know what it is. The Akigala wood in Guidance, well, it's the same thing in Guidance 46, just that this one is smoother. So if I'm going to enjoy one, it's going to be the 46. But nonetheless, this one is still the same sort of scent profile with the Akigala wood. Same thing that caused me to sell Guidance would cause me to sell this one if I purchased a full bottle. It's just a matter of Guidance 46 being a little bit smoother, a little rounder, a little creamier. Guidance is a little sharper, but nonetheless, it has that hazelnutty, rosy, and then the Akigala wood, and there's something I'm addicted to in the fragrance, and then there's something that I hate in the fragrance. So why commit to a full bottle? Why spend $330 when I could enjoy the decant? This is a nice size decant. I can enjoy this. I think these are the 10 ml, and determine what I think of this. I may never end up with a full bottle, but there's something of a love-hate with Guidance for me. So I did get a decant of Guidance 46. I also, like I said in the video where I spoke about Neela Vermeire's Eshal, I got the 10 ml decant. I took it on vacation. This is absolutely stunning. An Extrait, a tuberose that is like hidden behind this mossy green, figgy, sort of hazy fragrance. I say hazy because I feel like I'm getting this tuberose behind a screen, behind this like mossy haze, like something blurry. There's something blurry and blurred in front of the tuberose in here. It's beautiful. It's expensive. The 75 ml, I think 75 ml is almost $400. Again, it's the Extrait concentration, and it could be worth it, but I'm going to enjoy this one first. I do think it's beautiful, so I did get the decant of Eshal. The next one is from the house of MDCI, and this one is Fete Persane, Parisian Holiday. I'll put the name up on screen. I'm sorry, it's difficult to say French words. It's difficult to say the name of this fragrance. This one was a blind buy. I opened the package just 2 days ago, as soon as I got back from vacation, sprayed it and thought, I can't put my finger on it. What does this smell like? And I was walking around, I was unpacking, and then it came to me and I said, this smells like Epic Woman from Amouage. I had no idea who the perfumer was. I don't know exactly what made me purchase this. I think on FragranceNet, a discounter that I often visit. This one, along with another one, went on a deep discount. So these, I think, are about $250. They're not cheap fragrances. I love the house of MDCI. They're high quality. They're not daring fragrances. Some of them have a little bit of a throwback vintage style to them. I'm a fan of the house. And this one, like I said, with another one, went on a deep discount. I quickly looked up the notes, looked up the reviews, but without doing a deep dive. And when I finally realized that it reminds me of Epic Woman, I looked it up, and the perfumer is Cécile Zarokian. And when you look on Profumo or even on Fragrantica, Epic Woman is not listed as a fragrance that this one smells like. So we all have our own sort of interpretation. To me, this smells a lot like Epic Woman. It is spicy. There is cardamom in here. There's also rose. It does share some notes with Epic Woman. It's an ambery fragrance. It has vanillic components, and in my opinion, it's a common thread that Cécile Zarokian has going on here. This one, Epic Woman. I even picked up on a common thread ever so slightly in Nanche by Nishane, also a Cécile Zarokian fragrance. But this one I really like. It's fantastic. It's lighter. It's a muskier, maybe lighter sort of interpretation. I'm not saying that it's some sort of dupe or exactly like Epic Woman. It has a lot of similarities, such as the cardamom, the rose, the patchouli. There's woody notes in here. I don't know exactly what the wood notes are, but it does remind me of a musky, lighter sort of version of Epic Woman. And so I added this to my collection, and it was a really, really great deal, which makes it all the more better. But it is a great fragrance. I like this one. So speaking of Epic Woman, one of my subscribers wrote to me and pointed me towards an opportunity for a vintage version Epic Woman from Amouage, non-magnetic cap in the old packaging. And this is the 1.7, and I went for it. Now, smelling this out of the bottle and smelling the MDCI, this one is spice prominent. It's layered, it's complex, it's opulent, it's truly Amouage, vintage Amouage style fragrances. You have the incense, you have the woods, it's resinous, you have, I think there's geranium along with the rose in here. It's beautiful. It really is. And I think the difference, if there's any, between this one and the current version is that in the current version, in the dry down, I get vanillic components, while this one, the richness with those aromatic spices remain with the fragrance all the way to the dry down. I think it might be spicier and richer in that respect. So thank you to my subscriber for pointing me in the direction of the seller who sold this bottle to me. I'm happy to have this original non-magnetic cap formulation in my collection. Maybe I'll use this one to travel and the 100 ml stays home. So that's Epic Woman. So the next one is from the house of Diptyque. I've wanted this for a while. This one is Le Papier. This is the EDT. I don't think this comes in an EDP. And this one is a musky, clean fragrance with a rice, a steamed rice accord. And it's sort of in the world of Orpheon, which is also a clean fragrance, and Fleur de Peau, which is a musky fragrance. There's a lot of ambrette in Fleur de Peau. So they're all clean scent profiles, like out of the shower clean. But this one I feel is creamy and round. Imagine steamy rice, like sticky white steamy rice, round, creamy. This one is fresh and clean without being overly musky. It's very smooth. I like it a lot. It's a very sort of out of the shower, fresh, clean fragrance that I feel is comforting. I find fragrances like this really comforting. So I'm glad to finally have Le Papier in my collection. The next one is from Chanel. This I purchased duty-free at the airport just the other day, actually. And when I got back to New York, I went on my first run, my first outdoor run in New York, and it was a cloudy, disgusting day, and I sprayed this all over myself, and I really, really enjoyed it. So this one is not from the Les Exclusifs line. I don't remember the line of fragrances that this is within. I'll put it up on screen. I apologize. I sort of am doing this video off the cuff. This is Veni, and it's one of, I think, about 5 or 6 fragrances in this line, and they're not as expensive as the Les Exclusifs line of fragrances. They're sort of light cologne-like fresh fragrances. And so even though it has neroli, and I think there's tonka bean in here, normally when I think of neroli and fresh fragrances, they are much more citrusy. This one has a very nice ambery base. I think maybe it comes from the tonka bean. It gives some powderiness. So it's not uber citrusy, and it's not only about the neroli. It's floral, and it's not neroli prominent. So I like it. I like the way this wears on my skin. It's fresh, it's clean, without being all about neroli. It has a little bit of sweetness, it's powdery, and I enjoy this one. And of all the ones that I sampled, I liked this one the most. There was one that was floral that the woman was trying to push on me, but I ended up choosing this one, Veni, from the House of Chanel. So the next one is also from the House of Diptyque, and this one is Eau Moheli. This is the old bottle, the old packaging. It's still in production, it's not discontinued, but this one now comes in the typical Diptyque bottles, and I really will enjoy this in the summer, in the warm weather. This is all about ylang ylang. I love ylang ylang, so it's a little bit tropical. And then at the same time, there's ginger and vetiver in here, so it nicely contrasts the ylang ylang, but I love ylang ylang in fragrance. It is sort of reminiscent of being in the sun, of summer. Makes me feel like I want to be at the beach. And this one is a nice one. And this one actually has some nice longevity on skin. The vetiver is not super prominent. It's sort of there in the base. It gives some earthiness to the fragrance. It's a nice contrasting note. But like I said, this one is all about ylang ylang. If you like ylang ylang, try this one out. I like this one, Eau Moheli. And last but not least is from the house of Serge Lutens, which is also a top perfume house for me, along with Les Indemodables. And this one is Jeux de Peau. So this is the bell jar, 75 ml. This was a blind buy. I did not purchase this off of the official website. I'm not sure what I think about this fragrance. It's an interesting one. I read about it and I was on the fence and I went for it. It's a fragrance that is supposed to be reminiscent of fresh baked bread. So there are some strange notes in here, like a wheat accord, there's licorice, there's apricot, and there's also a milk accord. So the juxtaposition of notes is quite interesting. It reminds me, not that it smells like, but it reminds me of the sort of scent profile like Zoologist Rabbit, and which is like a carrot cake, and Lost Alice by Masque Milano. It's sort of in that genre where I'm not sure if it smells like something that I'm supposed to eat or something that I'm supposed to wear. I'm not sure about this one. It's a strange juxtaposition of notes. I have some here that I applied earlier because it's a difficult one to sort of describe. It's much more full-bodied than I expected. I expected something really, really transparent and light. It's actually full-bodied, and there's a lactonic aspect right from the get-go. And it's like you're smelling bread, hot bread. If you take the inside of bread when it's hot, before it gets a chance to dry out, it can turn into something gummy, right? Like you can form almost like a ball with it. It smells like a piece of hot bread with an apricot jam and a cup of milk. And the licorice in here is probably contrasting some of these sort of powdery, more lactonic notes in the fragrance, like that wheat note and the milk accord. It's interesting. It's interesting. I conjure in my mind something edible, and so I'm not sure if it's something that I would actually wear. I may wear it, I'll review it, and then decide whether I'm going to sell this. So I own 4 bell jars from Serge Lutens, and I probably would go for Saracens. De Profundis, I tried. I don't think that that would translate into a full bottle. It's lovely, but maybe not for me. But rather than own this one, I would rather sell this and maybe get a bottle of Saracens, which is a jasmine fragrance that's been on my radar. So this is Jeux de Peau. Let me know if you guys have tried this one, if you're familiar with this fragrance, what you think. So those are the recent additions to my fragrance collection. These I'm really liking, with the exception of Jeux de Peau. I'm not sure about that one. So that's it for today, guys. Let me know in the comments if you're familiar with any of these fragrances that I spoke about, that I added to my collection. And as always, thank you so much for watching, your support, and your comments. Until next time, bye guys.